on the one hand, it's not that far apart, and on the other hand,
yeah, I know. Yeah, the time zone differences sometimes get me. But I work with different people in different parts of the world in previous roles and everything, so I was always kind of used to that.
Yeah. Yes, we're live. Yeah.
Yeah, we are live indeed. So, guys, for anybody who is watching, I don't think we've any viewers just yet, actually. So we're going to hang on for a few moments, anyways, to let people join. I know there's a number of people to join, but obviously schedules change and everything. So hopefully we'll have a few people here.
You got it. I'm going to pull up the screen here on my phone.
Sure. You're busy at the moment, I imagine, anyway. Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I think, I mean, it might come up in conversation here, but yeah, the annual budgeting time is happening. Yeah. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, I know the way. I've been there before, right? Yeah. And it's always never gets any easier, I would say.
No, that's right. That's the frustrating part. This is a situation where, you know, you can have the best system in the world, but you're always like, there's always some new dynamic that you got to address.
Yeah, definitely. So look, Todd, I'm conscious of your time anyway, so we might kick off. We're a few minutes, 3 minutes after the hour here now. So for anyone that is joining, if you haven't used StreamYard before, but I'm assuming many of you have, click on the link above this post in the news feed, and it'll allow us to see your name if you want to comment on and ask any questions, and feel free to do so. I'll stop every now and again to see if we have any comments or questions that we can address while we're talking with Todd. I think we have 2 people there.
Yeah, looks like we got a couple.
Yeah. So Todd, firstly, I just want to say thank you for agreeing to come on and share your time at the weekend. Sunday is not always the easiest day to do it, and I generally like to leave people alone and do their thing on a Sunday, but I know this time suited, well, probably both of us as well, with family and everything like that. So it's good to get you on for the time that we have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here. Great
stuff. So guys, for anyone who hasn't seen the invite that I put in the newsfeed, if you're just kind of joining because you've seen the live showing up, or if you haven't seen the story post that I put out, I wanted to interview Todd because he and I are acquainted for a little while now. We're both part of some of the same affiliate programs and promoting some of the same product offerings. But you know, he and I have struck up a bit of a friendship. He's kind of given me some of his learnings recently from the affiliate journey he's gone through so far this year, I believe, Todd, right? You started the start of this year. Yeah.
January.
And I think you've got some interesting insights to share. So I thought it would be valuable for everybody in the group to see him. So can I ask firstly, Todd, for anybody that doesn't know you, and I know that quite a few guys and girls in the group do know you, they're already acquainted with you, but can you give us a brief background to yourself, your career, I guess, and I guess how you've progressed into the world of online business?
Yeah, keep me focused here. I can talk a little bit.
No worries. We're kindred spirits then. I'm the same.
Yeah. So yeah, from the background side of things, I've been I started my career in the Air Force, and I got into sort of software project management, which led me kind of down the software path. I got into doing data, taught myself HTML, so I did some websites back in the day, and left the Air Force, went into some software development on the consulting side, briefly around the time the .com flameout happened, which is probably precedes a lot of the younger viewers here, but it was a big deal at the time. And so ended up taking a job at a consulting firm that was in the life sciences area, and took my data skills really and kind of helped build out a web reporting application was the first thing I did, but eventually moved into the analytics side of things because there was so much need for analyzing the data that we had, and basically just built my career on that. Ended up 17 years at that same firm. I recently switched to the industry side doing much of the same thing, helping manage data, putting it together. I mean, it's basically the commercial side of data. So it's like, where do sales happen? Where do they go? What specialists are providing the data? You know, how is the sales force doing against their call plans and things like that. So it's funny because I see them as distinctly different from online sales and marketing, or at least I did. And now I realize there is actually a bit of overlap in terms of kind of, you know, the sales force. A lot of what we do is to help the sales force sell better. You know, where should they go to find their target audience, basically, and you know, how are they doing against their daily action plan? I suppose I never thought about that analogy until just now, but it's basically a similar comparison. So so that's the background as far as how I got into this. My career in data and analytics, you know, has been great. I still like the job that I do. It keeps me busy, keeps me entertained, keeps me learning. But I'm going on closer to 20 years now in the space, and wanted to do something different, quite simply. I mean, and to be sure, I've thought about this a lot lately. I think most people doing this are looking for some kind of freedom. You know, it's time freedom. It's how I think, actually boil it down. Everybody wants the freedom to choose what to do with their time, however you want to frame that. It could be lots of money. It could just be enough to give you that time, whatever it is. But I feel like that's what most people in the online space are looking for. And I'm no exception. But also I really wanted to learn marketing and sales. Those are things that I hadn't done much of in my consulting career. And obviously, or maybe that's not obvious, but on the industry side, there's even less. I'm not on the selling side. We're a home office support function. So I really wanted to learn that. It was just a gap in my knowledge, and I wanted to learn. So maybe I'll take a breath there, but that's how I found my way to the affiliate marketing. I was like, I know there's something else out there that I could learn and could enjoy and might help me get closer to the time freedom that I'm after. So
yeah, I could echo a lot of what you just said. I mean, I think most of us could actually, you know, for everybody that I've met, the same story kind of resonates with everyone. And it's that time freedom, I think, is ultimately what is at the heart of it. That's kind of what drives a lot of people into the online world, whether it be affiliate marketing, which we're involved in, or other things like network marketing, or, you know, other kind of online business like e-commerce. But it's all kinds of the same driving principles. And it's, I guess, to allow you to do something that you would feel passionate about, as well as something that, like, I mean, for you, it was a little bit different in that you had a very different background. And as you say, you wanted to learn sales and marketing, you know, which are key skills. I would say, I guess I started out as a sales guy way back in the day, like nearly 20 years ago. And it was just a progression for me. I moved from sales into marketing, and then digital marketing became a big interest for me. And then I progressed from there into affiliate marketing. But you've kind of come from a very different area into something that you wanted to learn. And I guess those skills are really transferable, because I was never really interested in sales myself, but I knew, having a dad who was a sales guy, that it was going to be a good skill to learn no matter what I wanted to do. So that's kind of what brought me into it. And then I found marketing, and that was kind of it. I never looked back after that. So there's definitely some alignments there, I suppose. And I think everybody has a similar kind of driving force in terms of getting into the online world.
I'll say one thing there that it just might interest you or some other people. You know, I did not have sales in my family, really, although my dad probably did more of that than I knew, but it wasn't something that we talked about. And it took me a long time to accept that it was something that I needed is a strong word, but that I should learn. You know, I was averse to sales. I think a lot of people come into this space actually are. People don't want to sell to people. They don't like the feeling of being sold, so they don't want to sell.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I kind of I had to get over that, and it took me a long time to accept that enough to jump into this space. You know, I was trying to find other ways to make money online without having to sell directly. And there are other ways, but I've come to really enjoy that process and understand that done properly, it's more about helping people than it is about, you know, pushing whatever you've got to sell onto people. So
yeah, most definitely. It really is that. And I mean, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around that in the early stages, I think everybody gets into it with their own agendas. Obviously, you know, we all kind of go into it with our own goals in mind, but you realize after a while and having get some experience in it that it's actually much more about you focusing on what other people need and kind of reaching out and helping them and building relationships, which is what you and I do. And I know we're going to talk a bit about that today. Yeah. I guess it depends on the path that you go down. You know, if you're running an e-commerce business, it's a little bit of a different dynamic to it. But certainly the principles, the underlying principles are all the same. I think regardless of whatever product you're selling, you know, it's very much a case of understanding people's needs more than anything else and trying to meet those needs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very well said.
Yeah. So in terms of affiliate marketing, Todd, specifically, I guess I'll just talk a little bit about affiliate marketing because I'm conscious of the fact that there may always be at least one person on these lives who is very new to the space and may not be familiar with it. So affiliate marketing, I'm sorry if I'm kind of telling you something you already know, but affiliate marketing is essentially the process of promoting a third-party product in exchange for a commission. That's ultimately what you're doing. You're promoting somebody else's product that you have maybe used, you bought into, that resonated well with you, and you now chose to advocate for it in exchange for a reward, essentially. So the space that Todd and I both work in and how we know each other is that we're in high-ticket affiliate marketing, where we promote primarily promote personal development products, so skills training in sales and marketing, which allow you to skills that you can apply to any business model that you choose to. And I guess I'm guessing before I even asked Todd that this is partly what drew him to high ticket and the particular products that we promote, because it's very much about giving you fundamental sales and marketing skills that you can use to apply to a business. So Todd, that leads me into my next question. Is that the case with you? Why did you choose high ticket affiliate marketing? Was it because you saw it as a right fit for you in terms of what you wanted to learn?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is yes. Longer answer is I searched around, depending on how you start the clock counting, for maybe 5 years to figure out an area of opportunity online. And, it's not like I understood all the business models that were out there and I thoughtfully chose amongst them once I, knew what they were. It was more like I tried a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Didn't even get too far into it. I'd study the model, and be like, no, this doesn't work. I'd buy a course. This isn't for me. And then really once I found the SAA, the one that you and I connected through, it just made sense. I mean, it was the right concept for me. It was a full system to me, which I believe teaches transferable skills. There wasn't a lot of fluff. It was, even before I was in it, it was presented as a very actionable kind of program. And yeah, I mean, all of those things, it's not specifically, I guess, about the program, but, the high ticket affiliate piece is just, it made perfect sense to me that it takes effort to sell, a $1 product versus a $1,000 product. It's going to take effort either way. I'd rather expend my effort on the higher, kind of higher value, higher commission situation. So that's how it worked.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's very much the same for me. I could see the value in that also, but it was more the product, I think, itself. So some of you on the live as well will already know what myself and Todd are alluding to. So SAA, the Super Affiliate Accelerator, is a program that he and I both promote, and that's where we met each other. And that is a very typical example of, a well-structured program of training which allows you to transfer skills to an online business. And which is what drew me to it, certainly. I wanted that fundamental training. It provides a really strong framework for anybody that wants to become a successful affiliate marketer, not necessarily for the program, but for any other affiliate program that might be out there, or indeed any other type of business. So I would echo that again, Todd. I think that I have the same sort of reasons for joining as you, and I could see, obviously, there's low ticket affiliate marketing as well, where it's more of a numbers game, I guess. There's lower price points. You've got to sell higher volume to make a strong commission. Whereas with the product that we're promoting, it's there's equally as much work, I would say, but in a different way, and it's much more about building a relationship. It can take longer, obviously, so the cycle is longer, but certainly I could definitely see the value in promoting product like that, where somebody is really investing in something that I know is going to give them a lot of value versus a product that may not do that.
Yeah.
So my next question. So I guess in terms of offers, Todd, like we talked about Super Affiliate Accelerator, obviously is one of the main programs that you and I both promote. Are there other offers in your portfolio as well now? Are you expanding out? I believe you are, but tell us a little bit about that, I guess, and how things have progressed for you since you joined SAA in early 2020.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's interesting because there are a lot of models to approach high ticket affiliate marketing. You can set up your own value ladder where you've got a low ticket, maybe a medium, maybe a high, whatever. There are lots of ways to do it. I think one of the things that I try to do in every aspect of this business and in anything I do is I try to boil things down to the fundamentals. I try to keep them as simple as possible. I love shiny objects like anyone else, and I know this about myself, so I try to limit them as much as I can. And so with that in mind, I ended up not choosing, a low ticket or any kind of value ladder model. I just basically started with SAA. I wanted to just focus on that. I didn't want to be having conversations with people where I was talking about maybe one thing that's $1,000 and maybe one thing that's $7 or whatever. I couldn't get my head around it. So I didn't do that. With more experience, I can see how that might be a good idea for me to branch out, but I haven't done it yet. So it's a long way of saying the only other thing that's really in my bag right now is the first 5-figure month Accelerator, which is a program put together by the affiliate brothers, Evan and Eugene Wong and Alex Hauser, who are also all three Super Affiliate Accelerator members. They connected through that. And I think Legendary as well. But anyway, it's very similar, to the SAA program, but there are some distinct differences which we can save for a sales page or something. But they're complementary to my mind. They definitely can go hand in hand, and both programs are evolving with the membership, with the coaches' experiences in the space as well. Like there's a lot of evolution happening there. What I like about both of them is that I see them as just heavy on the fundamental strategies. They get specific on tactics in a couple areas, but not overemphasis on it because everybody's different. You and I think differently. I'm a heavy data guy. There's lots of people who hate data and are more feelings based and whatever else. There's a lot of ways to go about business. So I like the strategy concept. I kind of like figuring it out on my own a little bit. I would have a tough time with the scripts. I'll be honest. I don't ever use the scripts that are given to me other than as a point of reference to say, okay, this is a way that people think about it and do things. But,
nor do I, to be honest.
I have to put it in my own words. And if you've followed my work at all, you'll see that I also take the frameworks I've been given and I try to break them down my own way, simplify them even further, or at least put them into words that like really resonate with me so that I can make sense of it and ultimately kind of own it. Now it's something that I feel internally as opposed to execute like a robot or something like that. And once you do that, you can develop some certainty that I think really is key to leadership in the space, and then that is a way for me to lead to more sales, really.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And they've never scripts, using a script directly has never really been my thing at all. I have to be comfortable with what I'm saying. It has to feel authentic, and it has to be my own words. I find I'm just not comfortable with it. And I find that works better for me, which it obviously does for you. I think most affiliate marketers that are doing the same thing or using the same strategies, which are organic strategy like ourselves, say the same thing, that it evolves for you over time, that maybe you start out using the script, but then you tend to move away from it, you know, when you find out what works best, and you find your, not your comfort zone, because we don't like to use that term in our game. It's about getting out of your comfort zone, but you know where I'm coming from, I guess. You know, it's about really kind of figuring out what works best for you.
Yeah. And, you know, it's funny, you said two things there that actually stand out. One is authenticity. I think that's, you know, there's lots of ways to do the business, but for me, authentically is the only way. You know, you know, there's so many hackers out there trying to, you know, throw scripts and the various weird products at you, that it's just something that I'm adamant about. The only way I'll do it is honestly, ethically, and authentically. The second thing you said escapes me now. It was just at the end there, but I lost it.
Just in relation to feeling, I guess, having, you know, getting to a point where you feel comfortable with it, that it's not manufactured or artificial in any way. It has to be kind of completely natural for you, right?
Yeah, it was the comfort zone part too, where it's a good point, right? Move towards discomfort. But I will say, in a sales conversation, having a comfort zone is actually pretty key for the person doing selling, right? In the spot where you're supposed to be leading somebody to a solution that's going to help them. I think it's okay to be comfortable in that space. And in fact, I think that's a good goal. Yeah,
most definitely. Might be time for a couple of comments, because I know we have a few people. We have 3 on at the moment, but I think we had more than that. So Alenka, I see there. Alenka was live earlier. Alenka, thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Look forward to the interview. That's good. We have another Facebook user there. Happy to see you live, Sean. Happy to see you too, whoever you are. Talking from the heart works better than being a robot and sounds too salesy. Another Facebook user says, I would absolutely agree with that. I think that's exactly the point you were making, Todd, right?
Yeah, it's Hyla. I can see it. I'm pulled up on the phone here. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Hey, Hyla, thanks for joining also. And we just have one more there. 2 awesome dudes. Good to see you live together. Thank you very much. That was me. I put that in there actually earlier. So Todd, we're going to talk a little bit now about your daily routine. And I'm familiar with this, obviously, but I'd love for others to hear what your day-to-day looks like in terms of, I know obviously you've got your data analytics work to do. This is a side hustle for you at the moment. But what's your daily routine? If you can talk people through it at a high level, so they get an understanding of the process, the tactics you're using, and the overall strategy.
Yeah, this is just to be clear, the whole day.
Well, no, I guess in terms of your online business, yeah. And like, so if you have limited hours, we'll say you're devoting 3 hours to it on any given day. What typically would you be going through? I know it's not always going to be the same, but that daily routine in terms of the core kind of activities that you engage in.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going through a little bit of transition. We started school here. Kids are back, so a little disruptive. But I'll say kind of how the summer went. And I will say that, you know, I would never wish the pandemic on anyone, but it's been really good for my time management, because eliminating the commute and kind of running around to kids' activities has given me a little bit of time that I didn't have before, and it's helped me kind of sort things out. So my basic actions are, the morning stuff is largely not about Facebook or selling, but I think it's actually critical to my business and, you know, my overall life, which is I basically start off with a quick meditation, 15 minutes or less, actually, usually a guided one lately. I've done all kinds. I've tried everything, and some, you know, it ebbs and flows, but been doing some guided meditations lately, just to calm, center, focus, whatever. I used to sometimes start off opening up Facebook and flipping through and, you know, doing the responding. And I realized that blew up my day. First of all, I'd get stuck in Facebook, you know, and I'd spend an hour instead of the 15 minutes that I had planned. And then it kind of ruined everything else. So the meditation is a better start for me. And then I go directly from that to my workout, which varies a little bit, but some days it's hard and some days it's not. and I kind of have a pretty good balance there, I think, too, where I can go super hard 2 or 3 days a week. A couple other days I'll just do like stretching, walking, whatever. But for me, it's like such a key. It only takes me 20 minutes, even on my long days, maybe 30 at the outside. And it's probably the most important part of my day. Keeps me going. Feels like it's keeping me healthy and, you know, all that stuff mentally and physically. So I couldn't overemphasize the value of that for me. And I walk the dog. Sometimes my daughters will go with me, which has been also, it's been gratitude time. You know, it's like I didn't have that before. I didn't even walk the dog much because I was always on the move, on the run. Somebody else was doing it. It was pretty inconsistent. So we're doing that daily, get a little family time that's nice and casual. And I've got 5 kids. So every now and then it'll be one of them who goes with me. And so I get some quality time there, but that's usually what I do before I start the day job. Kind of shifting over to the kind of the side hustle part. I think I've got a daily action plan, which I should be able to tell you off the top of my head, but actually won't do that here just because it's a little bit involved. But what I would say is, if I have time in the morning, I'll knock some things off. Like if I come back, I usually kind of start working in earnest at 9:30. I usually have somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes to either, you know, engage on the feed, respond to messages, some of the light, simple things that you kind of have to do during the day. But what I will say is the key activities are adding friends, starting conversations, following up with conversations, you know, thinking about getting your content out there, whatever that is for the day or whatever. I can say more about that later too. But I think those are kind of the main things that are on my list. And so I've got an action plan. I will say it's not super structured as to what I do when, but I've also got it ordered in a way that I know what's most important and what really needs to happen on a daily basis, at least in the way I think about the business. And so quite often I'm doing work in 15-minute increments. I'll do a little bit at lunch, 15, 30 minutes there. If I have time during the day, which lately hasn't been the case, I'll squeeze in another 15 or 30 minutes. And then at night, I usually take probably 2 hours would be my average. Maybe it's a little less lately, but I do some of the content work. Then I do a lot of the messenger, you know, the rapid fire iterations, conversations that you're having with people who are online at that time is when I have those. So it might not be as succinct as I would have liked, but that's the basic approach.
Yeah. So I guess at the heart of it, it's you're dividing your time between, I guess the overall piece is building the relationship with your target audience, right? But that, I guess, splitting that into it's a division between content creation, planning, and then obviously messenger conversations. We were actually speaking with people one-to-one about their needs, their goals, their challenges, their pain points, and then obviously any solution that you might be able to help them with.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think, you know, cutting into it a little bit more, I think the content stuff, I try to plan out on Sundays, usually Saturday or Sunday. So I don't have a lot of work to do there anymore. It's a mix. I haven't always been totally successful in batching the content on the weekends. Still a work in progress, but that is kind of my goal. And I think most of my time now, and this is, you know, a deeper topic, but most of my time now is really kind of on the concept of lead generation, which involves relationship building, you know, trying to find my target audience out there. I feel like my content is, you know, I hate to say this, but I'm going to, it's good enough right now. Like I feel good about my where my content is at. It's not something I worry about. And I over-indexed on that at the beginning of my affiliate marketing journey. I thought that content was the way to make sales, not really understanding that you have to make sales to make sales. You have to have conversations with people. Nobody's go into your timeline to click on something to buy something. Like that's just not really how it works, especially not in the high ticket space. And so for me, I'm trying to swing the pendulum the other way and over index a little bit more on the relationship building and finding people who might actually I might be able to help.
Yeah, I had very much the same experience, to be honest with you. So I really leaned hard on the content creation for quite a long time. I mean, I still do. I put a lot of thought and effort into the content I create, but I'm creating less. I'm just more focusing on quality when I put it out, rather than I've got to get 4 value posts out every week, or I've got to keep giving value to people all the time, because it's very time consuming. And with someone like me and you, when you've got family, you've got work, you've got a whole lot of things going on as well. You have to really make the most of your time. And as you say, that's a very fair point. You got to make sales to make sales. And the bigger part of it is really relationship building, where you're actually doing a lot of outreach to people. Obviously, you want your content to speak to them. And the long game would be that your content is actually doing a lot of the work for you. But I found certainly that you have to build the relationship with them first. And doing that means reaching out and actually having one-to-one conversations with people, showing them that you're actually a real person, and that you're willing to help them, that you're willing to listen and actually build up a rapport with them. And then obviously the content comes into play, because they want to know more about what it is you can do. The content is there for the credibility, I would say. So it reinforces a lot of what you would say to them in the course of your conversations. Would you agree with that?
100%. Yeah. If anything I said downplays the value of content, that's a mistake. It's important. It's just not everything. And that's where I kind of fell short in the original approach. I mean, it's absolutely where you start your process of building the know, like, trust factor, which, I take it for granted that everybody's heard that phrase, but it's, people buy from people, and they want to know, like, and trust the people that they're buying from. Again, especially when it's a high ticket information product, there's got to be some way that people can believe that it can work for them, that they can get the same results you're getting or that other people are getting, and that, that you can build a connection of some kind, so you can, Russell Brunson and other people talk about bridging that gap from where they are now to where they want to be. And content, like, there's literally on Facebook only 2 ways to do that. I mean, maybe there's some nuances here, but it's through your content, which you're putting out on your timeline, in your group, in other people's groups, and Messenger, where you're having a chat with people. And, the way I think about it, your content can be a little more, I don't know, salesy, actually, even without being salesy, but it's more of, it can have this more authority, and it's your pontification. It's how you think about the world. But you don't go into Messenger and start, espousing whatever your 10 tenets of sales, or, you know what I mean? It's like on the content, that's your marketing. I mean, that's the way I think of it. Content is marketing. Messenger is sales. And I think, and to be clear, I'm still working on a post on this, but you got to be careful about that. I don't mean you jump into the Messenger and start selling, right? Like, you got to build the relationship first, to see if there even is a sale to be made. I mean, that's basically my first step. Is I'm happy to make new friends, that we might be able to help each other in some other way down the road. And my first step is there a sale to be made? That's the first thing I'm looking for in my Messenger. And if the answer is no, doesn't mean I throw them in the trash and, get rid of them or whatever. Like, there's still a lot of opportunity there, to mutually benefit, potentially. Who knows? They may have something I can learn from or benefit from. So, I
always take the same
approach it.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And I never shoot anything down. I always feel that there's something for everybody. Like, I always kind of approach every situation like a win-win. I talked about this actually in my last live with Christos, when we talked about attraction marketing. Even if there isn't a sale to be made, there's learnings there we all have experiences, and we've all got our own insights to share with everybody. Just because somebody isn't going to become a customer of yours doesn't necessarily mean that you can't build a relationship with them and get some value from them, or else give them some help. So I never write off anything unless I really, really have to. Which I think you can read between the lines there. I mean, sometimes you'll get pitched straight out of the box when you start a conversation with somebody, and I mean that's just not something I ever entertain, because that's just not good practice in my opinion. But if somebody's willing to give you some of their time, they want to know more about you, and you give you the time to learn a bit about them, then I think it's fair game to kind of see where it goes, obviously. And if there's a sale to be made, if they have a strong need, and you identify that for the solution, then obviously you'll progress. But if not, it might just be a case that you kind of stay in touch, or maybe you go back and forth a little bit and see how you can help each other. So it's always a bit of that. So I might just address a couple of comments, because I think we had a few more here, Todd. So sorry, we had that one already. So Alenka says, yes, being ethical and authentic is so important. Absolutely agree. And Alenka, of course, you would know. You're in the same space as Todd and I, so I know you know exactly what we're talking about here. Thank you for that. Great point. Relationship is key. It really is. And not necessarily, guys, I know Todd and I are kind of alluding to, or kind of focusing on high ticket affiliate marketing, because that's what we do, but this is very much across the board, regardless of the type of product you're selling. Like, relationship is really important. The fundamentals of sales and marketing underlie everything. So it doesn't matter if you're an affiliate marketer or not. These same things really do apply if you're using Facebook or even Instagram or other social media channels to market your products. These things do count.
I'll say one other thing too. I think you can talk for hours about the sales process and the messenger process, even just by itself. And I think one of the things that I've enjoyed lately is kind of seeing how quickly you can establish a relationship. Like, how can you find something common, put your authentic self out there? How quickly can you get to a decision point? Really, it's like, again, it's not like I'm casting these people aside, but interestingly enough, I saw something not so long ago that talked about the sales process. You don't actually, if you're going to sell to somebody, your objective actually shouldn't be to become their friend, because as we all know, we don't really like to buy things from our friends. If they come over with their Tupperware or their Avon or whatever, that can be annoying. And so it's like, you want a relationship, you want a rapport, you want to be helpful legitimately, but you also don't have to overdo it. And then a lot of times for me, what happens is I'll realize, there's a lot of people who are in a similar spot as I am. They've had, either they believe in their product and what they're doing, and they're not interested in what I have, or they've had some success and they're all set. And so with those people, it's like, how quickly can you kind of find a connection so that you stay engaging on each other's timeline and things like that, where you get social proof from having a collection of good people who are your friends that other people know. And it's like, oh, I see so-and-so is connected to this person. I feel like it builds upon itself. And so I've enjoyed that aspect of just, it's a new way to think about it. It's not like, oh, this lead is a loss because they're pitching me. It's like, I just built a new relationship, and, there's a win that comes out of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and remember, guys, as well, just because somebody doesn't have a need for what you offer today doesn't necessarily mean that in 6 months' time, a year's time, that they won't need it. And you got to always kind of keep that in mind as well, which is why the relationship part is so important, again, because, you just never know who they're going to introduce you to or what need they might have further down the road. So kind of always keep that in the back of your mind, that it's good to have, to keep the relationship open if you feel it warrants it, and if you feel that you can obviously help the person. Todd, I'm conscious of your time, so I'm going to move on a little bit. I wanted to get into your specific approach, because you and I talked, before we decided to do the live together. You talked to me recently about your leveraging your skill as a data analytics specialist, and how you've transferred that to your online work, in terms of tracking your performance, your lead generation, the quality of the leads, your daily conversations, the Excel that you showed me, actually, I was really impressed by. But, and primarily, I suppose, around how you've optimized your conversion rate using that data, because I don't see anybody else doing this, but obviously you've thought about what you do and do well, and figured out a way to use it to your advantage. So it would be great to kind of get more information on that.
Yeah. So first of all, I take a lot of these things for granted because I've just been doing them for so long. So if I say anything or leave anything out, definitely nudge me back. I can drill down. But one of the things that when I first came to the space of sales and marketing, I'm thinking, data and analytics has no real room in the same space. They're complementary, one can inform the other, certainly, but I'm used to people not being super interested in data. It's just been my experience that if it's kind of too technical for a lot of people, it's too big, it's overwhelming. A lot of people just aren't geared that way. So at first I kind of shied away from it and kind of, went down what I thought was more of an appropriate marketer's path. But as I got into it, I just found that the only way things work for me is the way they work for me, and kind of started embracing that. And I started tracking my engagement because that was what I knew. That was the thing in front of me that seemed like it would be worth measuring. And so I started tracking that. I built out a spreadsheet. It evolved over time. The kind of long story short on that is I'm at a point now, if you've seen my timeline, you see a data post every month or so. I kind of do something where I'm checking in on a data point. It used to be that I was just tracking my engagement, and I was able to know that I increased my engagement over, I can't even remember now, eight weeks. I tripled it or something when I first started, because I was really focused on that. And I started, just tracking what I was doing, how I was doing it. And it's a manual process. Like it's something that I still to this day do weekly. It used to be something that I was doing daily, and it takes away from other income producing activities. So you got to think about those things as you go. But for me, just because it's pretty second nature, I don't have a problem. It takes me 15, 20 minutes whenever I decide to do my updates. But with that, I'm tracking things like my number of friends, the relative number of friends per engagement, the days of the week, the time of the week that what does my engagement look like on those, the types of posts, how do they fare in engagement? And I can tell you, just off the top of my head that for whatever reason, Wednesday is my worst day of engagement. I don't know why. And honestly, I don't think it makes that much sense. I think it has more to do with me than it has to do with it being a real thing. I think Wednesday should be like any other day, but the reality is my engagement is bad on Wednesdays. So if I'm going to post something that I think is really important, I probably won't do it on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you and I talk. I was interested to see this because you and I were kind of chatting about it on Messenger recently, and I was trying to figure out when I get the best engagement, and I kind of feel that morning time, the earlier in the day that I put it out, the better. And I suppose the logic in that is that, well, your post is out there for longer. It's over the space of the entire day. You're on European time, and then when the US comes online around noon your time, they're going to see it then, and it just gets more eyeballs. But that's not always necessarily the case, because I mean, I've had posts that I think will resonate well with people, and I know that people are asking about, and they die a death very quickly, and I get very little views. And then something else, I had one recently where I talked about attraction marketing. Actually, it was just before the last live. I mean, it got huge engagement, and I didn't really think it was going to. So I don't know, is it a mindset thing or what is it? But it's funny to see how your engagement goes up and down quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, and I think what I'd say is I did one recently on time of day, right? We talked about this specifically. Yeah. And for me, there's basically no difference. The numbers are the same morning, afternoon, and evening. But but some people even came onto my post and were like, oh, well, that may be true for you, but my audience is different. And it's like, it might be, if your audience is all very local, there's no doubt in my mind that there is a better time of day. Morning to a local area seems like it would make sense. But, my friends are in the UK, Australia, Singapore, South Africa, US. It kind of doesn't make sense that there would be a better time of day for me. That being said, I also feel like morning is better, and that's part of why I test those things, you know. So the good news is my takeaway from all of those things is that I don't need to stress about that anymore. I still track it because I'm a data geek and I can't help myself. But I know that I don't need to worry about posting. Like if I need to get something out whenever it's ready to go, I'll put it out. If it needed to go out that day and it's late at night, fine. If it's afternoon, fine. Wednesdays, whatever. I'm funny as like I'm actually still now I'm kind of trying to see if I can do better on Wednesdays. That's kind of been one of my things.
Yeah, you're challenging yourself now because you know that that's the day.
Yeah, and the thing that I would say about all of this is like you don't have to do it with data. There's no better way. Like doing it based on feelings is only going to give you feelings-based results, but you should test these things for yourself. You know, if you don't want to do it data-wise, that's fine. But if somebody says like, oh, you got to post at 9 a.m. on Tuesday mornings for the best success, like challenge that. Find a way to figure it out for yourself, because in the end, where I'm going with all of this in the data is I have certainty about the things I do. I mean, I'm not totally certain about the Facebook algorithm, but I feel like I know a lot about it now after my tests. I've got 9 months of tracking in on this thing, and I don't believe that you have to prime just before you post to get engagement. I do think.
Nor do I. Yeah, I felt the same. Yeah, and I tested that a lot. Yeah,
but by the numbers, it doesn't matter, and I don't. There's a lot of things that you don't have to worry about once you've got certainty. And you know, I saw somebody the other day, Josh Cousins, I think it was, who's an awesome organic guy.
Yeah, it really is.
Just said, as long as you're putting out kick-ass content, doesn't matter when you put it out. It will be seen and people will appreciate it. May not be every post, but if you're consistently showing up with great content, then you'll get the engagement that you need.
Yeah, that's the message he's always kind of, and Josh is one of the guys that I looked to in the early days when I started this, actually early this year. And he always says that, you know, it's like, it's about the quality of your content, guys. And, you know, you can talk about all the other things about, you know, diving into the time of day and, you know, priming the news feed, and people talk about that. I mean, the reality is now, I mean, I've been doing a lot less of that recently to test it actually. And some of my best engagement has come in times when I haven't done any priming at all, where I'm not really engaging. So I'm starting to wonder, you know, I know obviously Facebook updates the algorithms all the time. You know, things change and you just don't know what's happening. But I would agree with Josh's point in that if you're just consistent, you just focus on creating good content and obviously doing the job you're supposed to be doing, which is building relationships with people, then you know, that's the best you can do, right?
Yeah, I think Facebook rewards you being a social person who's interacting and putting out things that people want to see. That's the basic thing. Yeah. I will jump quickly to the daily action plan. I know you want to touch on that. I do think it's important. I think it's a good little story.
Great, yeah.
So for me, you know, without going into lots of details about a spreadsheet, what I will say is the simple version is I gamified my daily action plan. Before, I had this plan that was loosely known. It was written on a Google Doc somewhere, you know, and I looked at it a lot when I was an early marketer, and it had 10 things maybe or less. And I'd kind of do some of them every day. But as I said before, I defaulted to content creation and engagement. And it kept me stalled. And so what I did was I looked at that list, put it in a spreadsheet. I rank ordered the 10 activities that I have on there and gave them a score. And then I did put it into a spreadsheet so that I could check it off every day and basically evaluate how I was doing. I could know what percentage I've completed during the day and what value those activities were according to how I think about their value. You could argue my rank ordering of 10 pretty easily. But for me, the things that I need to do, I'm now focused on, and I can look at it over the course of a week and see how I'm progressing. And ultimately I can compare week over week and say, did I do better? Did I do worse? And I've only been doing this now for about 4 weeks, but I've gotten incrementally better each week. This week was a great week for me, despite being one of the busiest weeks I've ever had at work. It's my best week of the 4. I will run up against a cap here pretty soon because now I know how to game my game, but that's okay. Like, I'm now focusing on the activities that are truly important to me and I'm seeing a major uptick in my lead generation. The number, quality and quantity of conversations has gone up dramatically in the last 4 weeks. I need that to translate into conversions, but that's not going to happen overnight. It's like I need, you need a steady flow of doing all the right things to get to the conversion process. Very few people are buying high ticket on one conversation, and so there's still some work to be done. But I think the takeaway is, for me, this game that I've created with my data has given me some accountability, because I don't want to do worse than I did last week, and so I'm gonna fight hard to make sure I'm showing up daily and doing those tasks and making improvements. Because if at the end of the day, the only person to be disappointed is me by those results, but I'm my harshest critic, right, in this case. And so I think it's been a game changer. I'm really pleased with how it's worked, and highly recommend it for anyone who thinks they can stomach it. And it doesn't really have to be a spreadsheet. You could do this on a piece of paper. I just think.
Yeah, well, I will vouch for that, because since you've spoken to me about it, and it kind of opened my eyes to the power of tracking it. And I'm certainly not an analytics guy. I've mentioned this to you when we talked about it first. I'm not a numbers guy, but seeing how you've refined your process over the weeks by knowing, I guess, where you're doing your best work and where your best days are. What activities have worked best, what pieces of content have worked best. It's allowing you to apply the learnings and improve everything you're doing as the days go on. So that's obviously really working well. But I've taken some simple lessons from what you've done and started to kind of implement that in my own day-to-day, where I'm thinking differently about my approach to conversations. The numbers that I'm doing in terms of trying to generate leads as well has actually gone up since you and I have spoken last. And I would say that the quality of my own conversations is better. I'm not spending as much time in the kind of gray zone. I'm progressing quite quickly. Well, not quite quickly, but certainly I'm progressing in a better way, I would say, towards the point of conversion, and sharing obviously a link, which was something that was difficult for me in the past, I would say, where you're actually getting them to take a look at something, a case study or whatever it might be, to get them to really, I suppose, move them into that space where they might be ready to think more about converting.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm averse to pushing things on people, as much as anyone. Like, I know people don't like to be sold, but this is something that it was such a difference maker for me. It was like the light bulbs went off, and now things are kind of working in the way I want them to. And I feel very much in control and very certain about my approach, and that it's really valuable. Yeah.
And now it's just a case, I guess, of rinse and repeat, Todd, right? Yeah. Just keep doing a better job.
Yeah, and refine, right? I think refine is a good thing to add to that. I've actually thought about maybe my rank ordering needs to change a little bit. Now that I've got 4 weeks under my belt, I can see value maybe in some other areas. And that might be true forever, because, as you focus on one area, something else probably is going to fall off a little bit, and you want to stay balanced across the things that are genuinely important in producing income.
Yeah, totally. Todd, we're at 5 to the hour, so I'm conscious of time. I'll just check quickly and see if we have any questions or comments. I think there might have been 1 or 2 people who struggled to get on. I think Giselle, I saw a message from you earlier. I think you were having difficulty with the link. I'll get back to you in a little while, but regardless, you'll see the recording in the live recording in the news feed in the group. Todd, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, obviously they can connect with you on Facebook. Are you also on YouTube? Are you using any other? Are you kind of promoting a cross channel now, or is Facebook your baby?
Nope, I'm a single focus guy right now. Like I said earlier, I got to keep it simple. So yeah, so it's just Facebook timeline. I'm sure I'm linked in this group somehow. Happy to talk to anyone. And then I've got my group as well, the Affiliate Side Hustle.
Yeah, a great group, and I'd recommend everybody join there. So you'll learn more about Todd's approach. He's really good, I would say, at tracking his journey overall, which is why that was the focus of today's live. He's been week by week, kind of tracking all of the stuff that he does. So I would say anybody that, you know, this type of approach where you're analyzing all of the work that you're doing and trying to figure out how to refine it, or maybe trying to figure out where you're tripping yourself up. If you've been frustrated by that, I would definitely recommend reach out to Todd, maybe have some conversations with him, or get in his group, and you'll definitely see some information. I certainly learned, he's opened my eyes to a couple of things recently that's definitely helped me. So, and it just doesn't just apply to anybody in the high ticket affiliate space either. You know, I think this stuff, like I said earlier, you can really apply it to any product that you're selling. So definitely, yeah, there's things to be learned there. So check out Todd's group. What is the affiliate side hustle?
Yeah. Hey Jack, yeah, I saw that question. It's affiliate side hustle. You can find a link to it on my timeline as well. But yeah, appreciate you asking. And John, thanks so much. This is awesome. I love talking.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I have to say, Todd, thanks for that. Yeah, it was great. And hopefully we'll have you back again at some point. We might do another collaboration. I guess
I got to learn how to do interviews so we can turn the tables here too.
Yeah, well, I've done a lot of these in the past, well, just career-wise. So, you know, I do enjoy doing them, I have to say, and kind of, you know, preparing for them and all of that. It's not everybody's bag, but it's always good to kind of, you know, get as much out of them as you can.
Yeah,
so Todd, thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate it. And look, as always, guys, if anyone has any questions, you can leave them in the comments below. Reach out to me or reach out to Todd directly if you want to ask more. There will be more upcoming Facebook Lives. I'm actually going to be going live next week for a number of days to talk about a few things. So you'll see me all then. Thanks, guys, and thanks, Todd.
Yeah, thanks again, John.
Take care, guys.
Bye all.